So we're live.
Welcome, 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 everyone, to Toons Up North, Nerdy Up North's cartoon review watch along podcast. I am joined, as always, by my cartoon host, Paul.
And yes, I am Escape from Toontown, and like say that Doom didn't get us. He didn't get us with the dip. It's always good to try
Be
and survive.
careful. I hear they're going to put you in Toon World next.
Oh,
Now, there's a movie.
yes. The Saturday podcast morning with all the Toon puns and all the Toon jokes. So yes,
Yeah. All the references nobody else would get on the podcast
no,
apart from me and you. But
yes,
yeah, well, happy Saturday morning, watchers.
yes.
But yeah, I'm Jake, also from Nerdy Up North. We do video games sometimes, but yes, today we're here to talk about one of the greatest cartoons of all time, I would say, which is Batman the Animated Series.
Mm-hmm.
And we chose to watch Heart of Ice.
Heart of Ice. Yes.
So this was your pick.
Mm-hmm.
So what made this jump to your mind to be like first pick? I want this one.
Um, I think it's a difficult pick when you come to Batman the Animated Series, and I think you're right in saying it's one of the ones that stands up to time and only gets better when you get older when you watch it as well. It has
Yeah,
all the elements for kids. It's got Batman. It's got the jokes, but as as we find out with this episode, it's quite dark and moody and probably when I watched this the first time round as a kid, I didn't like this episode. I'll be honest,
yeah.
because
No, I can see. I mean, it doesn't leave you on a happy
mhm,
or a good feeling at the end for sure.
yeah. But I think watching it back now, like especially me teenagers and adults, it just hits home and the writing in it. I know we talked about the writing in the Justice League movie, but the writing in
Mhm.
this cartoon, it's up there with some of the best comics. It's up there with some of the best cartoons. It's some of the best films plot wise as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I like how they do keep the comic book nature. I mean, we talked about it last week, so
mhm,
it's probably just these guys' style because it's
mhm,
pretty much the same sort of writing and directing team.
mhm,
But I do really appreciate that they keep the sort of the theatrical nature of superheroes and supervillains.
mhm.
Because we've been missing that for a while because we need like I get it. Like audiences want something semi-realistic, like what would Iron Man say if he was real? It's like
Mhm.
to the bad guy.
Yeah.
He probably would make fun of him a bit, but like in this, like it's very much like Batman might have one joke, but then it's like serious business, and all
Mhm.
the poetic justice lines are coming out of Mr. Freeze and stuff like that. But
That's
yeah, I really appreciate that when they can pull it off and keep it like serious in a way.
yeah, definitely. And I think most things about Batman, anything to do with Batman, there's got to be a balance.
Yeah.
And the movie side, that's always the balance that they don't get right. They either get a really great Batman, Michael Keaton, or a really good Bruce Wayne, like
Yeah.
Christian Bale, for example. They never really
Yeah.
get like one where we've got an amazing Bruce Wayne and amazing Batman. I think the closest we get, and I'll probably get a lot of shit for this, is Ben Affleck in like the later ones. That was the closest we got to a great Bruce Wayne and a great aesthetically and like what we expect Batman to be.
Yeah. He was
And
an interesting Bruce Wayne in comparison to this one because
mm,
from what I remember of like Ben Affleck, he was like a very like he was sad as in like
mm,
the world is crumbling around me, like everything I know is turned on its head because aliens exist, sort of a vibe. But he was also very well put together,
mm,
and he looked like he had everything under control.
yeah,
Where I think in the animated series, we get a Bruce that kind of makes some mistakes every now and then.
yeah. We get
And whether
debonair
it what
Bruce as well. That was the thing that I always liked.
Yeah, and whether or not it's a character, I
Mm,
guess we don't know because he never like says, but he kind of plays a little bit of the fool when he's
mm,
out and about in the animated show. Um, So
Hmm.
it's really interesting to kind of see how people approach it differently.
Hmm.
Because in this one, he's like, he's got a cold and he's wandering about and stuff like that. And so
Hmm.
like there's a lot of embarrassing moments for him as Bruce,
Hmm.
and some as Batman, but you never think like, this guy's a joke. Like
No.
the keep is like his mystique and everything alive.
But I say that's one of the elements I do love about this. Like
Yeah.
the whole cartoon as a show, as a series, and not just this one episode. They seem to find the darkness when they need it, and they find the lightness as well. But
Yeah.
just pure like the look and feel, just everything just looks amazing. It's all like I say the 1950s style. Gotham just is oozing just either like a crime element and just sleaze and everything about it. But like even like background characters are so well formed and designed,
Yeah.
and the aesthetics is just beautifully done.
I was gonna pick up on that like almost immediately because like the episode starts out with like the news report
Hmm.
talking about like the ice crime during the Gotham heat wave, which is a very immersive for us sitting at home in a
Yes.
real life heat wave right now.
Hmm.
Um, and are you thinking about the part where like there's the kids playing in the background with the snowballs and like they hit the security guard and he like chases them off and stuff? Because I was like, that gives so much flavor to like this random corner of Gotham we've
Hmm.
never heard of before. And it's like, all right, so yeah, there's apartment blocks around and there's like, kids on the street messing about with the cops and stuff. And it's like, it's very like New York style
Hmm.
from
Oh,
like old
definitely.
school
Yeah, it's like
movies.
you would think of it was like in the Untouchables or something like that. Like
Yeah.
Sean
Yeah.
Connery coming along with a really dodgy accent that you can't work out what he is doing at the moment till he just gives up and says,
Oh,
"Yeah,
that's
I'm
his
Scottish."
speciality, really, isn't it?
It's like
Is he a Highlander or
it's like we'll get the most Scottish person in the world to play an Irishman, and then just give up and stop being Scottish again.
or
Yeah,
James Bond? Like
yeah,
the most famous like English spy, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, like so I definitely picked up on that as well, where it's like, yeah, just the incidental characters have
Hmm.
like they've just got something about them where you get the writers have clearly like thought like, okay, we need to like this random security guard needs to have a tiny bit of personality, even though he's just there for like 2 minutes. You're
Hmm.
never gonna see him again. Um, but yeah, so like we start this out where I think like it starts out with Batman, doesn't it? Like sort of doing his computer work, and then
Yeah.
Alfred's coming in, joking around, being like, "Am I taking up video games, sir?" Like Alfred's he's on fire with the quips in this episode.
Oh, Alfred in this any type of like in like the cartoon was just perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I love how quickly Batman always works things out, like the most
Yes.
obscure and weird things. That it's like all these things that these robberies are happening, the people are stealing, don't make
Yeah.
anything. But if you put them together in this very specific strategic way, it creates this ultimate freeze ray gun. It's
Yeah.
like,
He just moves the things around and puts some barrels at the back, and it's like, aha.
which makes me think that Bruce Wayne is the most dangerous person in the mind. If that's his
Yeah.
mindset, you think, look at all these objects. What kind of weapon can I make it today?
Yeah, and like so yeah, it kind of paints them as sort of unrelated crimes, even though I guess it's all part of the same company, which is GothCorp, I think
GothCorp,
that's what it's
yes.
called. So it's like, yeah, it obviously is like Gotham Corporation, but it
Mhm.
just sounds like it should be ran by people in black clothes. It sounds evil, I guess, is what
Yeah,
we're
it's
going
like
for.
what kind of evil company that rivals a Wayne Tech be called? GothTop. That's the most dark black. Uh, Batman was
Yeah.
probably wanted his business to go out because he was jealous of the name.
Yeah, true. It's like that's probably was on his like drawing board for like other names. He's like, oh, well, my dad just he called it Wayne Tech back in the day, so I've just got to keep the name. Maybe
um,
his offshore account where he builds the watchtower is GothCorp after Freeze puts this guy out of business.
so, but I'm
um,
glad you mentioned his name though, Mister Doctor Freeze.
oh
Um,
yeah,
just because. one of the sorry, Mr. Freeze. Sorry, he wasn't a doctor in this.
No, he did. Yeah, because I was like, when he said like that's Mr. Freeze to you, but like Batman, I was like, okay, so he's was he a doctor? Was he just a scientist with no doctorate? Is that why he got in trouble? Because he didn't know the ethics
oh,
lessons?
I think it's just like he's always been Mr. Freeze. I think, but I think due
Yeah,
to
they did call him Dr. Victor Freeze in the movie, I think.
mm,
Actually, really quick, sorry, I did want to mention the last time me and you saw Mr. Freeze would have been in Batman and Robin when we watched that for the podcast. This is very different, but
yes,
they did basically rip off this backstory effectively.
I
But a
think
very different guy comes out of the chemicals at
yeah.
the end.
um, but that's the point I was going to make though as well, because
Yeah,
with Mr. Freeze in this episode, in one episode which is 20 minutes long, it
yeah,
turned one of the most comedic buffoonery villains in the comics to one of the most sinister and scary villains that Batman has had in a long time. Because
yeah,
Mr. Freeze in the comics, I'll be honest, was a joke. It was just an embarrassment.
yeah.
He wasn't really seen as a threat. It was more of a
Just a
comic.
man with a cold gun.
Yeah,
So like, yeah,
pretty much. And then in this swoop, there's a few things that makes him absolutely terrifying. He's the attitude when one of his goons, because there were always goons in the comics or
oh,
the things,
definitely,
got caught up by the freeze ray and his legs got frozen, and all
yeah,
the others were like, "Let's help him, let's get him out." And Doctor Freeze being, oh sorry, Mister Freeze being the ice cold son of a bitch he is just like, "No, it was his mistake to fail. I will leave him." Then they will start trying to like argue a little bit against him, and he's like, "Do you want to suffer the same fate as him?" And it's just his delivery of the lines as well is just
yeah,
so sinister and it's perfect for this show. Because let's be honest, this used to go out on a Saturday morning, so you didn't want to scare people or freak them out too much. But this was the right level of sinister where kids would enjoy it and be a little bit afraid, where adults would watch it and be absolutely terrified.
yeah. Because like even the reactions of the goon on
Mm.
the floor, like he grabs his friend's like leg on the way past, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they don't just be like, my legs. Like he's actually like physically trying to like drag himself back into the van. Um, and it is really like it's really like callous. But you're right, it's not in a way that would like scare
Mm-hmm.
young audiences. But when you're watching it now and you're thinking like, damn, Freeze. Like, plus he shot him.
Yeah.
So it's like, like fair enough. The guy was standing there, but when in the sort of the goon training, did he tell him if Batman jump flips over me, don't stand behind the freeze gun?
Oh, we need a goon training camp now just to test
Well,
out the nerdy up north nerds to
I
see who
know
can
I was
survive.
who's who's the best goon. I think Lee and Chris are the
Oh,
best would be
the
the
goon
best
squad.
goons. But yeah, I was thinking when I was watching this, like obviously, like you said, 20 minutes, it's a very fast
Mm,
moving origin story for Mr. Freeze, plus his first like big outing. Um, I was thinking like, what's in it for the guys that are with him? Because
mm,
he's nothing but horrible to them, and they have to work in the freezing cold.
mm,
Like in in the warehouse in the little parkers, like
mm.
like building the freeze gun. So it's like because he paid them up front, or like I'd hope so, because they just get, I'm guessing, chucked in jail at the end of this.
Yeah, like you never really find out like what the goons get from like
Yeah,
things because
he doesn't like hold anything over them as far as we see.
he's not
But
about
they're
materially
probably
gains and stuff as well. So it's
no, because that was what I thought was pretty cool when Batman shows up and he's like, "This is a personal vendetta. It doesn't concern you."
yes.
And then Batman's like, "Well, it concerns me now because I've seen a crime." um, but I thought that was really interesting. By all rights, he tries to reason with Batman,
Mhm,
who, and it's interesting that he knows about him already as well, which I do like.
mhm,
Because later on there's a line where he's like, detective to the very end. So it's like he kind of sees Batman as an equal, but
mhm.
he knows he'll still have to try and kick his ass
Yeah, I think
if he comes over.
I think why this like this one like because like you would to be fair we could have went back through so many different episodes and we probably as will
Mhm.
at certain points, but why this
Yeah,
one always resonates to me is this one like Mr. Freeze's origin story in this tale is so closely like to like Bruce's origin story, how
yeah,
like someone came in, disrupted what we was trying to do, kind of like caused like the effect, and then he goes on this revenge, like say binge to
mhm.
try and because in his my eyes as well, Nora Freeze is gone, is dead now. He doesn't know that she's still around. That we find out later on, but
Yeah. Oh, do we find that out?
not in
Is
this
it?
episode. No,
No. Okay. Yeah.
not in this episode. No.
Because I thought that was bold because even in the Schumacher movie, Batman and Robin,
Hmm.
you find out pretty quick that she's not actually dead.
Hmm.
You know, like he still has her sort of thing.
Hmm.
So that kind of cuts some of the sadness away.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the children's show, you just to assume that her life support was cut off or whatever
Yeah, that she didn't
is
make
wrong
it.
with her.
But again, because Fraser's chosen revenge, and he's not
Yeah.
gonna because he's got no emotions now, like as they've been frozen away, shall we say? Where
Mm.
Bruce had the same choice, where he could have revenged his parents' killer, and then he
Hmm.
chose not to. So that was like say if Batman had taken one step like towards which what Freeze did, they would have
Yeah.
lived quite parallel lives. Like say with the respects of how they got
Yeah.
powers and how well not powers, how they got the abilities and how they then used them. So that I always thought that
Yeah.
was quite interesting, especially the way they told the story as well.
And yeah, like I think it does it speaks to like how strong of a character Batman can be.
Hmm.
When you give him all of the like all of his values and stuff, like personal values and how he like sees the world.
Hmm.
Because I think a lot of fans would write Batman as Mr. Freeze.
Hmm.
You know, like they would be like, well, someone killed his family, so he should go and kill them back. And it's like, yeah, but he's trying to be better. Like that's what separates him. Because
Hmm.
yeah, you're right. Like a lot of his rogues gallery is like dark reflections.
Hmm.
Some of them, and then there's like the Joker, who's like a total opposite sort of thing. But then that's why they work so well because they're like the opposite side of the coin, like completely.
No, definitely, and
um,
I think that's why Batman always resonates more with me. To like when we had the conversation last week when I was talking about like how Superman is very hard to relate to, where Batman
yes,
kind of relates because it's he's an everyman, but also he's got no powers. He's got not super strength. And the villains he comes against are so interesting as well.
mhm,
It's so much better done. Where to get a villain to stand up against like the Man of Steel, he's got to
yeah,
be ultra super powered. Where Batman, they don't. They can be a little bit more crazier, sinister. They can
yeah,
have better tech, but all that it just gives you so much more opportunities. Because as Batman, as good as Batman is, he's got so many weaknesses, and
yeah. I
and
mean,
as
he
a,
get
and you made and
yes,
you alluded to it in this episode as well. He gets a cold.
yeah,
Uh, like when did you see Superman get the fucking sniffles?
yeah, because he gets frozen, but he sort of protects himself with his cloak. I guess
Yeah.
that's what lets him break out.
Hmm.
Um, because they don't do the thing in the movie where they're like, they've got 9 minutes to thaw them, or otherwise they're dead, sort of
No.
thing. Like, but I think like I ain't no scientist, but I'm pretty sure getting your legs encased in ice would be the end of your legs. But
Hmm.
he saves the goon with a hot chemical bath, which is basically like the Bacta tank from Star Wars. Yeah,
I like
he
that
even
though.
he has the little mask on as
Yeah.
well. Like it's exactly. But yes,
Hmm.
that's what I like about Batman. Like he did not just hand that guy into the police. He was like, "Crap, this guy needs like
Hmm.
urgent, specialized medical care. I can do it faster than taking it to the hospital or like the police."
But that, again, that's where a side of Batman I always feel torn towards. He's like,
Yeah,
he's got all the best gadgets. He's got all the know-how and like things he can fix any injury apparently, and but he doesn't share that with anyone. He keeps it to
not
himself.
often.
Like he
Yeah,
could fix Gotham so many times over for
yeah,
like their sickness and illness and just like things, but no, no. he decides to go out and punch the mentally ill people who dare to try and make a life out of them, even by dressing up like a clown.
I
Um,
wonder if anyone's done like a what if story where Bruce Wayne just donates loads of money to like try and kill crime and poverty. But
mhm,
then like would then the corrupt politicians and business owners of Gotham just take
mhm.
over in a different way and steal all of his charity money? And then he has to still become Batman.
Possibly, because as we find out, good little segue though, Jake. There, we with GothCorp, we do have a corrupt CEO who was all
Oh god,
about
he's so bad,
yeah,
isn't he?
with it was all about money and his money. Ferris Boyle, I think he was called.
Yes, I
Uh,
think so.
he's basically reason why he stopped Mr. Freeze's experiment because it was his money, his equipment, and nobody can use
Yeah.
it and do it whatever he was. So, and he threats.
Yeah, he makes some throwaway line about how he's cost him 3 million. I'm like, it's like you got receipts for that. So, but yeah, he's very much like, what are you doing on company time? Turn the
Mhm,
machines off with his like two security guards. And then Victor
mhm.
goes for the security guard's gun holster immediately. But then he just kicks him in the stomach. He's like, "Hang on, freeze. We can. You don't shoot me. We can work this out." And he just kicks. It's honestly like the like the slimiest bad guy that I've
Oh,
seen in a long time. He just kicks him into the chemical table.
but
Which
that's
fair
always
enough, he didn't know the Mister Freeze chemicals were there because how could he?
true. But I think that's
um,
where, like, say, like, where Batman the animated series is far superior to anything because they do like these smarmy bad guys so well because they're always in there.
yeah,
Like if there might be a
yeah.
mobster or anything like that, but like say if it's a corrupt CEO or anything like that, you find out they're the true evil behind Gotham rather than
I
the.
think this is why I like episodic
Mhm,
Batman, and we don't get a lot of it, but it gives you time to do an episode about this guy because like in a movie
mhm,
you can't you can't really focus on like a random throwaway bad guy. It's got to be like the heavy hitters and stuff.
mhm,
Like I think if this was the Mr. Freeze like movie, which they possibly might be making, um, I think the GothCorp guy would get frozen pretty much immediately, and
yeah.
it would be like now Mr. Freeze is a murderer, so it's a serious like the
Mhm.
stakes have been upped type of thing.
But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting because I did hear rumors that the new the Batman with Robert Pattinson, that
Yeah,
Mister Freeze was the main villain in that one.
I
So
think they could pull it off based on what I saw with the first one.
yeah, like I say, it gives you hope in the superhero, especially with what they did with the Riddler. I know not everyone liked that, but I thought it was such an interesting and a new take, and
Yeah.
that's what we're kind of looking for now. As we've had many discussions about Batman in the
Mhm.
past, how we don't want them to stick to the same old rogue gallery or the same old villains that we get in the movies or
Yeah.
had,
Yeah.
given some new because there's so much variety. And as you said, with you going through the Batman animated series, one thing this show does better than literally any is origin stories for the villains. Like
Yep.
Mister Freeze, this is the first showing of Mister Freeze, and he made him a top tier villain in the Rogue Gallery just in this one episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Episodes like we'll get when we get Wayland Killer Croc. That one is so well done as well.
Yeah.
And
It just like that one's fun because it's like, oh, you think like, oh, he's got a bit of a tragic, raised in a circus type of thing, and then it turns out like, no, he's still a dickhead. Like, because that's the thing. He's like the do certain bad guys in this. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, the tragic backstory.
Mhm,
They'll do that, but like sort of Mad Hatter and stuff. Then
mhm,
it's like, but he is harassing the woman he works with. Like, fair enough. His life sucks, but like, I think it draws a line really well in this animated show where it's like, yes, the bad guy is slightly tragic, but they
mhm.
also have made some really bad choices that aren't to be like immediately forgiven. Um,
But
but yeah, so
you can
yeah,
look at it
sorry.
a different way as well with Mister
Mhm.
Freeze,
Oh
because
yeah, I think he's justified in this campaign as
mhm.
much as you can say that about someone who's ready to murder innocents.
But that's because if you look at it in a logical side of way, which again, talking about Batman, never works out really well.
Yeah,
But if you look at it logically for Mister Freeze, as you said, he's had this horrific event that happened to him.
he's
That's
got nothing left
no,
effectively.
no, and it's changed not just himself, but chemically and emotionally, where he doesn't have feelings anymore. So
Yeah.
if you think the last feeling you felt is either pure rage or anger for someone killing what you think is killing your wife, then
Oh
you
yeah.
don't feel empathy. Then you don't feel like sorrow or sadness or have that little voice like the Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder saying you shouldn't do this, and you've
Hmm.
got them like say these capabilities to basically push yourself or have the know-how to do these things. You not saying you can't be blamed because everyone's blamed for can be like responsible for their own actions, but the fact that he doesn't have this emotional response or to stop makes him so much more scarier and so much
Hmm.
more not say justified, but you can actually say, right, I can understand why he goes on a murderous rage or he doesn't give a
Yeah.
fuck about anyone else.
He he is owed justice, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, the whole like trying to freeze an entire building full of innocent sort of party guests is not justified, but
Mm-hmm.
he is owed justice against the guy from GothCorp. There's an awesome line that kind of that goes with what you've just said, where like so it's like there's the part where he gets another Star Wars reference from the same movie, actually, Empire Strikes Back. He has Batman frozen to the ceiling with his legs,
Yeah.
like Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get to have a little chat where he's like, like, I saw what happened to your wife. I'm sorry. And he's just like, I am beyond emotions, like
Yeah.
type of thing. But like he says, like Batman says, like, yes, I understand, like, do you have to, like, your life's been ruined, but is it really justified to kill a whole building full of people? And he's just like, think of it, Batman, to never again walk upon a summer's day with the hot wind in your face, a warm hand to hold. Oh yes, I'd kill for that. Like, that's just awesome, like, because that just lays it out there. Like, the words literally come out of his mouth,
Mm-hmm.
like that's what this guy is about. Like, everything's been taken away. I mean, it's not going to get it back for him, I
Yeah.
don't think. Unless he's hoping that if he kills this guy, then he becomes a hero, then he can fund the cure the freeze disease.
That's the thing.
Um,
You never really know what his plan is after
yeah.
getting revenge. So like
I guess also he's trying to do what was done to him
mhm,
back, really, isn't he?
yeah,
He's
right. The
like
wrongs of like everything
it's
that
like
went
this,
on.
I have been frozen, therefore I will freeze you.
Um, but yeah, like the whole like say thing that scares you about Batman as well is when he starts going through the CCTV, and
Yeah.
so getting the video footage of what actually happened at GothCorp, and it's
Yeah.
like realizing, fuck, he can get access to any type of like footage that's out there, but
How
also,
does he get in as well, though,
yeah,
Paul?
because
He sprays his hair blonde, and he walks into the security guard office, and he's like, "Hey, boss says it's you can go down to the party." And the guy's like, "What, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, compliments of Mr. Boyle or whatever." And the dude just walks out with a proper spring in his step, doesn't he? Like, to go to the company party.
see that's why you've got to hire top quality goons because
who
top
are gonna
quality
who are
goons
gonna
wouldn't do that.
yeah, they're gonna slightly question, like, are you with the agency like that employs us?
Have you got any questions you would like? Have we got the secret handshake that we can get you through? But yeah, and it's just like I think at the time it's like the technology it does give out. It's like he hands over the videotape to the person saying,
Videotape.
"This is
Yep.
like this shows you evidence of what happened and stuff like that." To get the good
Keep it
old
away from magnets. Otherwise it's gone forever.
oh god, damn Magnus. But yeah, keep it away from Ferris because Ferris is the real bad guy in the whole show as well. Um, well,
Yeah,
it's
so that basically brings us to the climax where they freeze an entire building with the aforementioned giant freeze gun built
mhm,
exactly like how Batman thought it was going to be built.
mhm,
Um, and this is where we get the reveal that he has his robo suit gives him triple the strength of a normal human.
mhm.
Um, so against Batman, who has a cold in a 1-to-1, he's actually pretty dangerous. Um, actually, we didn't. I didn't. I meant to touch on this. His outfit is
Hmm.
kind of silly
Yeah.
on paper.
Hmm.
Like if you just saw the outfit alone,
Hmm.
you'd be like, "That's a silly spaceman outfit."
Yeah.
But when you add in like the ashen gray face and the glowing red eyes,
Hmm.
um, this becomes like legit. And like I had an action figure of this when I was a kid,
Hmm.
um, and I just loved it. Like design wise, it's just so cool because it's like retro 50s like spaceman, but
Hmm.
like I say, with these horrible horror villain eyes. And we found out that it was actually the Hellboy artist who
Yes.
did a quick redesign on this. And then
Hmm.
when I read that and then thought about the blank eyes, I was like, ah, yes, that's exactly like his style. But it's really striking. Like,
Yeah.
and I can see why this just took over the old comics backstory. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
The look was iconic. Like,
Yeah.
and this is probably the most iconic Mr. Freeze look. Um, I think I don't know if I've got a figure up there from the old Mr. Freeze from the 1966.
Yeah.
Um,
Didn't he used to just have like a coat on sort of thing?
but he's got like a blue thing, but instead of
Yeah.
having a like the top of the head, it was like a silver little,
Yes.
almost like a brace across his face, and that kept
Right.
him cool.
Okay. Yes, I remember. I remember that.
Yeah.
Did you because you know, like from I think season 3 and 4, or maybe just season 4, they do a complete artistic overhaul on this show.
Hmm.
Do you remember what they do to Mr. Freeze when that happens?
Can't remember, but hopefully we
He,
will be re-envision it.
well, I was gonna say like he becomes like I think it's like all black,
Hmm.
a lot more muscular, so like
Right.
a, a sort of more imposing silhouette. And they go for like like actual frozen crags of ice with
Oh,
just like the red
right.
eyes.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I don't think it's better than
Yeah.
this. Like, when you compare the two.
Hmm. I know after this, they did use the kind of the aesthetics in the comics for quite a while. Like the look for Mister
Yeah,
Freeze was
yeah.
uh, kind of. But to be fair though, so many characters did come from the animated series. Like probably
Mhm,
one or two that was created for the animated series. Like Harley Quinn's first
mhm,
appearance was in the
for
animated
sure.
show and stuff like that. But like Mr. Freeze had kind of lent a lot to it. I know, comic wise, like the Joker kind of was taken a lot more from them, but that might be like down to like say the portrayal of Mark Hamill as well, because Mark Hamill
Yeah.
was absolutely phenomenal as the Clown Prince of crime.
He's also he's also the bad CEO in this episode, if I remember right, when I was looking at the voice cast.
All right,
So it's
yeah, he
it's
was.
like slightly different performance, but you can
Hmm.
hear the gravel that he had around this time period.
Hmm.
But yeah, like this show's insane for like knocking things out of the park and being like, now this is the definitive Joker. Like now everyone has to follow this performance. Which we'll get to like a Joker episode eventually. But I'd like to pick an interesting one because the
Hmm.
very first one is like a weird Christmas episode.
Yeah.
And Robin's in it because like Robin comes and goes in the series. But I think it's something to do with production order
Hmm.
is messed up when you like look at DVD listings and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I think the first episode is correct. Like the Man Bat episode was the first one they actually
Hmm.
put pen to paper on. But I think after that, it's all messed up. And like I say, Robin's there sometimes he's not. Like,
One, but it's one of them shows where I'm not mad the continuity's not perfect because, as you said,
yeah.
it's like a little one like one moment in time in the
Yeah.
Batman universe. There's nothing
Was this
where.
was this also the first time they did like two parters on like kid shows? Because a couple of
Oh,
them, like the Clayface one, is a two-parter, if I
hmm,
remember right. Because I think it came on like a one cassette tape.
yeah,
Because like an hour was enough to give you apparently. Um, but yeah, like I don't this like it has continuity in a way, but
hmm,
also there's not you can just sit down and watch pretty much any episode and you'll be fine. That's what's
yeah.
great about it.
I don't know if it was the first. It was the one that kind of went back to the because what. I don't know. I'm going to show my age now here. Like, well, not my age, like probably my father's age and stuff like that. What they used to do at the cinema,
Yes.
like they used to have like this is how Batman and Superman and stuff. There wasn't like cartoons, but they used to have like the live action little
Yes.
animated little films where they used to have cliffhangers at the end of the film. So you used to watch if you watch a movie, then watch the cliff little clip, but there used to be a cliffhanger that used to be finished on the next movie. So it used to be a way to get you go back in the cinema.
Yeah. Okay. Is that where those like old Superman cartoons come from?
Like the old
Where
sort of Superman, I don't know if it was George Harrison, but it was
it
like
was
George.
some it was like a well, I was thinking of the animated one as well.
Mm,
There's like a really old one, whereas S is quite small.
yeah,
And everything's very like Popeye style
mm,
cartoon sort of bendy and stuff, but it is full color.
yeah.
That might be interesting to dig
Dig
into.
into
Like,
take a
I
deep
can't
dive.
remember who does the art, but it's like a very famous like cartoonist.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like so, and yes, you can tell the writers of this love the adventure serial and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, can't
Yeah.
you? Like, same
Oh,
with how
100%.
all the DNA is in Star Wars and stuff. But there even is that episode of animated series with Adam West, isn't there? Where it's
Mm,
like where
yes.
he's like a phantom kind of guy, Bruce's favorite like superhero. I think he's
Oh, the
called the
Phantom.
Great
The
Ghost.
Great Ghost, that was it, the Great Ghost.
Yeah.
Um, there's a few things I'd like to say when I finished watched this episode, I howled and laughed at. The one thing is like say the smartiness of Batman when he leaves the half frozen Boyle and says good night humanitarian.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. Because there was that whole thing where he was like, "I'm getting a humanitarian award," and then he's like, "I feel sick," and then he's like, "What?" And he's just like, "Ah, my cold. I gotta go."
But like you say, we do get like a sassy Batman from time and time.
Definitely.
But
I love that when he can't hide it though, because like everyone knows like Bruce Wayne is the mask.
mhm,
So it's fun when that cracks through when he's like when he
mhm,
knows he's got to go play undercover,
mhm.
but like his sense of justice just like jabs out occasionally, like when he's talking to people. It's
It's
really
like
good.
it's like your little bitchy side. Um,
Oh, definitely. They even did it in some of the 90s movies where he's like, Poison Ivy comes up to him and he's like, I heard about that crazed scientist you used to work for. And she's like, wait, that wasn't me. He's
um,
always like a little bit more informed than everyone he's talking to. It's great.
how did you feel about the kind of like the little in joke on how Batman defeated Freeze?
Oh, I thought that was good because it makes sense from like a base level,
Hmm.
like scientific sort of thing. And also because it's like Alfred was right all along, as he always is.
That chicken soup will beat the cold.
Yes, yeah. So like if people didn't watch it, he basically beats Mr. Freeze by dumping chicken soup all over him, all over his helmet, which then cracks because it's hot soup on
Mhm.
freezing cold glass,
Yeah.
which in my mind makes sense.
No,
Um,
because that's like as a child, I didn't get that because I say
oh,
science.
okay.
Because let's be honest,
Yeah.
science and not really understanding things. I was like, oh, did he have was the material some kind of like against chicken soup or something? But then
Or was it
like
like acid or
yeah,
something?
but then when you realize it's like yes, I when because let's be honest, we've all made mistakes and put cold glasses in hot water and seen it smash. It's never
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, so it
Scary every time.
so it kind of made sense that was the way. But then you had like almost like a Shakespearean ending, like oh no, he's like going through the motions, like almost like falling down. It's like has Batman just killed him? But no, it didn't kill him. Batman didn't kill him with chicken soup,
No,
guys.
you're right though, because they make it look really painful. Like anytime Mr. Freeze's like helmet gets broken or he's in the heat, I'm like, no, like put him back. Like I don't want to see this. Like I don't care.
It's like it's okay. He wants to murder everyone. I don't want to see him uncomfortable.
Yeah, God. And then yeah, so then we get the very sad sort of ending,
Oh, it's
which is sort
beautiful
of
though.
in
It is beautiful.
yeah,
Mhm,
which again they ripped off in Batman and Robin, but just
mhm.
did it a little sillier because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger sitting there.
Yeah.
Does he has like the snow globe thing, doesn't he?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very that scene's got everything. It's like he's got the little snow because he's in his like cold room and stuff. And yeah, like it shows that like Batman has this weird connection with him because
Mm.
how often does Batman check on the other guys he puts away? But he's like he's watching through the window for a little bit, being like, "Oh, I don't feel
Being like a
good about
creep type
this."
thing. But yeah, but even then he's still defiant because he's
Mhm.
because the little snow globe, it's like a music box inside where it's like got a little silhouette, a little figure of Nora, and
Yeah,
he's like begging forgiveness, but not for what he's done, but for failing to get revenge for her, and that's just
yeah,
fucking hardcore and epic. To be fair,
but
like because you
it's
expect
it
the bad guys at the end to like to be going, oh, this is the my mistakes, this is what's led me to. But he's not forgiving. He's like, shit, I didn't get done what I wanted to get done.
yeah. I was just reading it there. It is like it's proper like sad and poetic, and then he's just like, "I pray you hear me somehow,
Mm-hmm.
someplace where a warm hand waits for mine." I'm like, okay, so this is the end of the kids show. Like Mr. Freeze has just decided he will die, and that's the next time he'll see his wife. Like, oh, it sucks. But yeah, maybe that's why Batman's watching because he's like, dude, I thought like my life was tragic. Like, and he's like, I did a tiny bit of reading because the guy who plays Mr. Freeze is like proper old school like Hollywood.
Right.
Um, and apparently he had trouble with this role because he was putting too much emotion in it, and they had to keep saying
Mm-hmm.
like dial it back, like do it like sort of say these lines as if they were like robotic.
Yeah.
Um, and he had trouble apparently like switching off his like theatrical sort of side,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Oh, it'll sound really flat," and it's
That's what
like
we're
that
going
is
for. Yeah.
that is what they were going for, and obviously like he hadn't got the post like heard the post processing because they give him like a cool like talking out of a broken speaker kind of voice,
Mm-hmm.
which if I think I was reading they don't do so much later on,
Yeah.
um which is I don't know why they made that decision, but maybe it was too scary for the test
Well,
audiences
the
at the
first season, to be
time.
honest, the first season had some really scary bits, like Man Bat. Like
Yeah.
if you look back, like the episodes with Man Batting was fucking
Oh yeah.
freaky as out. But this one,
Langstrom's a scary guy.
but again, just everything. Because normally when you go back and you'd watch a children's cartoon, I hate saying it that way, but you would be
Aye, yeah.
elements where you could like think, oh, they could have changed that, they could have updated this bit, or like they went too silly there. Like the tone and the feeling all the way through, and everything that they use, like from like the art style, like the colors and
Yeah,
everything
the
is
Art Deco in this is weird. Like when you think about it, being like a show for children,
mm,
that's like a fake sort of 1950s like futurism
mm,
vibe. But I love it. Everyone loves it now, like
yeah.
in hindsight and stuff. Um,
It was so ahead of its time, though. That's the thing.
yeah,
And loads of other cartoons and other things have tried to replicate and try to copy it.
yeah,
It's never had the same type of impact or feel, which we were very lucky as kids. I don't think we realized how
so
fortunate we
lucky.
were when we had these type of aspects. Um,
I
and
mean, I
what?
think like I think we knew this was special because
Mm,
like I say, like we had videotapes and me and my cousins would like rewatch the sort of 6 episodes that were on the like the video box set
yeah.
and stuff like over and over. Um, because yeah, that's a blast from the past. You could not pick which episode you wanted unless you had bought it on video cassette.
Oh, good old
um,
times.
and like yeah, that's why we watched the same like four Simpsons over and over again because we had like the Sideshow Bob tape that had four Sideshow Bob episodes.
One good thing that did come out with this as well, with a lot of different aspects, is they realized, like as you said, with the two parters and stuff,
Yeah,
that there was an audience there for the longer episodes. So we start getting some
yeah.
TV movies and we start getting some videotapes, and um, just make sure I get it right because I know it's got a big following. Was it the Mask of Phantasm? That
Yeah,
came from
that
this, which is one of the
that
best.
got a
Yeah,
theatrical release,
yeah,
but it was alongside Batman Forever, I think.
right.
and that just ate all of the lunch.
But again, if you want to look at like one of the best
Yeah,
Batman like movies, like not saying cartoon movies, go back and
yeah,
watch that. It is top tier. It is one of the best things you will ever see with Batman and
yeah.
Bruce Wayne
It's
in
out on 4K Blu-ray, dudes. If you want, I've got it, but I don't think I've got a 4K player at the moment to enjoy its full glory. Um, I want to say as well, obviously the intro is Danny Elfman,
it.
because it's the Batman theme, like from the Keaton movie, pretty much. It might be a slight variation, like a re-recording.
Mhm.
Um, but who does the episode score is Shirley Walker, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore.
All right.
But she is so like undersung as a composer when it comes to like Batman, because like her Batman theme to me is like
Mhm.
the one, the dun, 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 that's always in these episodes. Like
Mhm.
that's all her. And obviously she kind of like it's everything. So, and I
Mhm.
think this was one of those like shows where how they would compose the music
Mhm.
while they're watching the episode. Like so it'll be like played along on like a TV screen so they know when to hit the beats and everything.
Mhm.
Um and you can tell the care has been put in on this show, like that the musical score is like bespoke. It's not just random tracks playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did want to touch as well on a new thing. We saw there was a trailer this week for Batman the Caped Crusader, which is kind of going back to this.
Mhm.
It's using an even older design of Batman, whereas ears kind of point outwards a little bit.
Mhm. I did.
You've seen
I
the
did see
drawings.
some of the images, and I know you tagged us in it. And I was like, I'm gonna watch it tonight, but then I
Yeah.
forgot. Um,
No, no, it's fine. It's not out till August, so
yeah.
but we might have to do a big spoiler cast on that because it looks good and
Mhm.
it's like 1950s mobster style.
All
Uh,
right.
so
Right.
it's like, yeah, you get the cops being like, this Batman creep. He's riding around in his muscle car every night and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But there's the supernatural stuff still there. You see a few villains, like you see a Two-Face with a melted
All
half of
right.
his face and stuff. So I'm
Right.
looking forward to it. It's an
Cool.
Amazon joint.
Very cool. Might have to get Sammy involved with that as well because she would love
Yeah.
the whole get a Sammy cast can be all Dark Knight with Sammy. Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
wrong. That
Yeah.
sorry. But yeah. So I know
Yeah, was there anything else you wanted to say about this one?
it's a difficult
Um,
one because I know last week we had like 3 episodes to talk about, where this one's
yeah.
like a 20-minute one. So there's only so much you can get. But only thing I can say is for 20 minutes, you get more out of this for a Batman than you would like most things as well. So I would always
Yeah.
say to give it a chance. And if
It's
you have,
worth half an hour of your time to sit
oh,
down and just
definitely,
check it out.
and just experience Batman completely from what it is as well. Um,
Yeah.
I think I'm getting attacked by cats there. Sorry.
Catman.
But yeah, so I know from leading back to this one, it's we've kind of like not stayed away from. It's not the same, but it is on the same type of art style and
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
from like Justice League to this. Because I know I was greedy and picked this one there. So what are you choosing for the next viewing there?
Okay, so we're definitely moving away from the Paul Dini
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Tim joints. Even though I love them and we will come back to something. Um, but what I had a fun idea because when this show came out, it had a massive impact on the animation industry
Mm-hmm.
because everyone was like, "Holy crap! Look what Warner Brothers are doing."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this wasn't the only Warner Brothers show. Like they kept rolling with like, there's like Animaniacs and Freakazoid and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they kept on going. So Disney had a response to this show, which is Gargoyles.
Oh,
And
yes.
I thought it would be fun to hit the first sort of arc of Gargoyles, which I can't remember if it's like it might be a two-parter,
Mm-hmm.
2-3-parter maybe. But I think it would be fun to hit that and see what Disney cooked up to compete with the Batman.
Oh, it's going to be an interesting one as well because I watched this back in the youth and I've not watched it again
Yeah.
since, but I know it's got a huge following as well.
Yes. It's
So
on Disney Plus, so
mhm,
it's easy to watch nowadays.
cool. So Jake will point you in the direction on which episodes in the Discord as well.
Yes.
But that is very exciting.
It'll just be like the first arc where we get introduced to the characters, but like I can't remember if it's a multiple parter. But
Hmm.
so yeah, we're kind of staying in the realm of superheroes, but this was kind of an original thing at the time. And
Hmm.
like I say, it was an indirect competition. Like we need to get the young boy demographic. They're all talking about the Batman.
Hmm.
No one's watching Hercules.
Oh,
That's not true. I watched Hercules.
Hercules. But yes, but yeah. Oh, I'm excited for Gargoyles now. Just
Yeah.
like, so like I know they've just been releasing the figure sets out with NECA, and
Oh
it looks.
yeah, the toys were so good as well.
Mm,
Like even back in the day, like I don't think I owned some, but I
hmm.
like my cousins had them. Um and yeah, like they always keep talking like we're gonna get some kind of like new gargoyles. I think there might be like a video game coming out.
I know they've hinted at a lot of stuff down the years, but we'll get into that next week. So
Yeah. Yeah.
next time. But yes. So yeah. As I said, if you haven't watched this episode on Batman, it is on
I
Netflix.
just want I just want to apologize in advance. The Gargoyles opening uh story arc is actually 5 episodes long.
Oh well.
It's
So
called the Awakening.
the Awakening. So we've got a little time to watch that. So that's not a
Feature
problem.
length, I think you would call that.
So movie esque, but yes.
I don't
So
know, maybe we might just watch three if there's like a cutoff point and it changes to a different story.
mhm.
But from what I remember, it's very cool, very cinematic, and still holds up because I'm sure I watched some of it like last year or something. Because Disney Plus is cool like that. Sometimes it archives some old shows.
Cool. Well, like I say, I'm glad you found this episode as enjoyable as I did, and um, again, if they do make the like say the Batman and the villain as Mister Freeze, the similar type of vein, I would be excited to see this as a proper live action, rather than the
Yeah,
corny cheesy that we got with Arnie, shall we say, which isn't a
Arnold.
bad thing, but it's good to get your villains a little bit more scarier. And with
Yeah.
cartoons, I think they get a little bit more pull and a lot more leeway, especially if we ever get under a Killer Croc episode. Like the
Mhm.
cartoon does wheel in a different way than we've seen before.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose that's the thing. They don't have to worry about like special or practical effects. Like
Mhm.
you can literally just draw anything you want.
Definitely.
And that's why we love them.
But yes, so I don't think we've got, like as we said, we're not going to plug anything on this one. It's just like say this is what you get. Enjoy it,
Yeah.
folks.
Oh, definitely. And because we are pre-recording technically, it's
Mhm.
Friday night.
It's Friday night.
um yeah, we don't know what's coming down the pipeline exactly. But
Mhm.
yeah, keep watching the other stuff on our channel. There is something for everyone at Nerdy Up North, like I always say.
Certainly, but as we're still going to work on the ending, so see how this works. But that's all, folks.
You said it.
Said the line.
Goodbye.
Bye, nerds, 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 nerds. Yeah, bye.